Great, we're ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll. Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Burke, and I'm the founder of EntrepreneurNOW Network. I've also been an entrepreneur for 25 years, and sold my company a couple of years ago. It was called MarketLive. It was an enterprise class e-commerce platform that did about $2 billion a year in commerce that went through the engine for all of our major retailers that we did. So I kind of a serial entrepreneur, love the space of entrepreneurship, but we're going to be talking both again about personal and professional development today, which is good. I've got a really good topic, I think, well, success and getting ready for success in 2019. And it's very exciting. It's actually something that I'm very passionate about, because connecting all the dots together about how to be successful in 2019 or any year or any time is all good. And I've got some great tools for you as well. I've got 3 main tools that we're going to go through. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about keys to success, because focus, what you said, is one of the 2 keys to success, I think, is so important. So we're going to go through that real quick. I'm also going to do a little bit of on asking great questions as well. Just 2 things that I've learned over time, give you some tips on that, and then we'll jump right into the 3 tools. You're actually going to get all these tools. I'm going to pass around the sign-up sheet. And the reason we need your email address is right after this, I'll take a snapshot of it, and the folks back at the office will actually send you an email that will have the link to all of these tools. You'll want them because you actually kind of need them. You can't do some of these on your own. You kind of need the spreadsheet and things in order to do it. And you'll want them too. And I highly recommend you spread them out to anybody. After you go through them, give them to anybody that you want to as well. They're available to you for everybody to consume. So the 3-step process in terms of what I've got is, the first thing is getting clarity. And I've heard a couple people in the room already talk about getting clarity. Like, there's so many things I can do. What should I be doing, right? So I have a tool called the Start, Stop, Continue tool. And we'll go through it. I'll lead you through it question by question. It will get you that clarity that you need. It's almost like a brainstorming tool, but it will also get you focused. That's its main purpose. Second tool is the Decision Matrix tool. And I actually learned this tool over at USC, which is where I have a graduate degree from, and I did my undergraduate work as well. And it was in this boring MBA class called Operational Efficiency. But that one day that I actually went, and it was interesting, was where I learned I went a lot because, it was.
But that day was interesting.
That day was the only interesting one. Yes, they were. I will tell you, they were teaching continuous improvement, the Deming method that revolutionized the Japanese manufacturing process. That was what the class was on. Really exciting stuff, right? But in that, I got a multi-attribute decision matrix. I just simplified it to a decision matrix. And you'll find that making decisions is one of the challenges for both entrepreneurs, because I'm targeting entrepreneurs, but we'll all be entrepreneurs here today. Some of you are literally in your own business, and some of you probably are aspirational about wanting to be your own business as well. So it kind of applies to everybody. You're gonna write the next great app, so get to it, right? Right after this class. That's gonna be one of your key initiatives. And the last tool is about taking action. I will tell you that taking action is probably the most important thing you can do. You decide, and the first step in actually taking action is deciding. Once you decide, it all of a sudden opens up the floodgates. And it's the hardest thing is to decide, because you don't have clarity. Once you get clarity, you decide, and then you take action. The number one problem, if I was to do a self-help or personal development workshop, which I'm happy to do as well, is the problem, by the way, as well. I am going to recommend the book. I was actually doing the final edit on the plane over here, which is, I'm from San Francisco, so and it's called Living Your Extraordinary Life, and I'm giving you a free copy, or anybody that wants one. You just have to give me your business card or something, because it's not done yet. It's in its final edit.
Later.
Yeah, well, it's not published yet, but the publisher is waiting for it, and they're going to get it next month. I thought of you when you were doing your introductions, because I think it will have some things in there that can really help you. Anybody else, you're welcome to it as well. But there's a 5-step process to living an extraordinary life, and it helps around getting clarity, and that's early. Again, that's not my topic today. My topic today kind of is more business-oriented. And then I'll tell you a little bit about the Entrepreneur Network, just like 60 seconds or so. All these tools are going to be available. Hello. Welcome. All these tools are going to be available at entrepreneurnow.com/success2019. You don't need to write it down, because you'll get a link. As long as you just put your email address there. You can also write it down as well. What you're going to get on there is you're going to get a copy of the presentation, you're going to get the Start, Stop, Continue worksheet, you're going to get the Decision Matrix spreadsheet, which is the thing you really want, because you can't kind of do that on your own. The spreadsheet will just, boom, walk you right through it. You'll get the Key Initiatives templates with examples. Key Initiatives are a great tool, again, to use for personal or business. They're designed a little bit more for business, but I use them for my personal life as well. And you'll see how that applies. And you'll get a recording of the presentation in case you want to share it or watch it again. It's been recorded over and over and over again. Not this particular recording. Hello, everyone. This is going to be up on YouTube as we will put this on YouTube. First question I ask a lot of people, because they ask me, they come to me and say, I am stuck. Are you stuck on something, right? So as you enter into 2019, are you challenged with something that you just can't seem to get over? There might be fear that's blocking you. There might be you can't seem to make that decision that will move you or your business forward. And that's I find a lot of people are stuck, and a lot of being stuck is around focus, right? So let's go ahead and connect up focus real quick, and that's kind of our first little mini tool, if you will. Is the power of focus. And I can't tell you enough what happens in the entrepreneurial world or in the business world as well. All of you, we all suffer from this, right? We jump from one thing to another thing to another thing. We actually never get to where we want to get to. So I'll give you a little tips on that as well. So why is this a problem, especially for entrepreneurs as well? Since this presentation is a little bit more geared to entrepreneurship, is endless distractions. But I think we all have these endless distractions. You have clients in your accounting business, both your accounting businesses, and your financial business as well. Now, clients are good, but clients can push you in different directions. So if you're orchestrating your own business, and you've got a lot of different things that you're doing, right? You've got different pieces, and sounds like you put it all together in one really cool offering, or that's what you're working towards, right? That's what I heard anyway from you. But what you don't want to do is get what I call strategic drift. Strategic drift is where you're down a path and all of a sudden customers start pushing you over here, and people that are not yet starting a business but want to start a business, this will happen. As soon as you get a customer, they're going to want to direct you in a different way. And you're like, but wait a minute, I was trying to do this over here. This is one of the things that causes entrepreneurs to be defocused. This also happens in our personal lives as well. We can apply that to both. Needy employees. If you do have employees, or other employees, you can certainly, that applies to that as well, that take up your time. So if you're an entrepreneur, and I ran a company with about 250 employees at a company called MarketLive, and they weren't always needy, but they were always taking up my time and distracting me, and the time that I got the work done was on the weekend. I didn't get the work done during the week, like Kirby can identify with, right? Also, the opportunity abounds when you start to enter into the entrepreneurial space, as you're doing here, as you're already in. All of a sudden there's an opportunity over here, and the entrepreneur goes over here and goes over here and goes over there, and they can't seem to focus on anything. So at the end of the year, they wake up and they start a bunch of stuff, but they don't finish anything, right? So you don't actually master anything, which you might have seen in your own business, maybe in your art business as well, which, it's like, okay, I want to do this. And creative people, this happens to a little bit more than our financial people, because financial people are very much, not to discriminate or anything, but it can be that case. Our busy, overcommitted personal life, and I guarantee you whatever you're doing in your careers or your businesses, you all have overcommitted personal lives. It kind of just goes without saying today, right? Mm-hmm. So that's also creating that focus and that lack of focus and distraction. And then the entrepreneurial DNA. I think if you're in this room, if you're associated with co-working space in any regard, you have the entrepreneurial DNA. I've been an entrepreneur as long as I can remember. My degree at USC was a master's in entrepreneurship. From that day forward, I've been an entrepreneur, and that entrepreneurial DNA I can attest to. You are defocused, right? By nature, you're kind of bouncing around, you're a little hyperactive, you can't seem to focus on something. You might be ADD, I'm not sure. I am, so I'm okay. I was ADD before they diagnosed ADD, which is unfortunate. I'm a mess. Anyway, I don't know, I wouldn't have me back if I were you. All right, but I'm gonna give you some tools to kind of work on this. These are just some perspective things. In my book, I talk a lot about, as well, I point to you because you're going to get a copy, whether you want one or not, you have to get one. Or just, anybody that wants one in the room, by the way, they're all free, and I'm happy to give one away. I just need to, just put the word book or something on that sheet, and I'll make sure I email you so I have to actually send them because they're not ebooks. This is actually a physical book by a real publisher. And this is the first group I've ever mentioned my book to, by the way, just because
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And our writer right here, but I don't normally promote. I'm not here to promote the book, and I'm not promoted it to anybody. So thank you. I'm not trying to do that. One of the things in terms of focus that I think is really important. The first thing is you have to decide on getting a clear direction and what actions you're going to take. Now that's what our tools are going to help us with today. Meaning actually decide this is the direction I'm going to take, and then you manage rigorously to it. That's the key initiatives exercise I'm going to go through at the end here. It is a very powerful exercise if you do it and do it right. Have a strong rudder. Now what a rudder is on an airplane, the rudder is actually what keeps the plane kind of flying in the direction that the pilot wants to fly. I'm actually a student pilot. I have a student pilot's license anyway. I haven't flown in many, many years. And being up there, if you don't have a rudder, well then you crash, right? it's one of those things that happens. And it sits on the plane, and it actually, the wind hits it from the left and the wind hits it from the right. They also have them in boats as well, right? But we'll talk about the plane. And what you have is you have all of these energies floating around you, all these distractions floating around you that are hitting you from the left and the right. When I say have a strong rudder, is whatever you commit to, take that direction and just stay with it. I know you know all of this, but it's really important to remember that it's like, I committed to this direction, I'm going to see it through until this day. Now, I also say something, and this, again, this is a little bit more personal development, but I say put it in a box. Again, something else I haven't done as part of this presentation, it's all new, and I've been coaching entrepreneurs lately as well around this, and I was coaching somebody a couple weeks ago, and I just said, you need, okay, she wasn't ready for her idea. Her personal life was kind of a mess, and we needed to get that squared away first before she could really focus on the creative energy that would require this idea. So I didn't want her to give up the idea because, hey, it was a great idea, and she'd been working on it for years. So I said, why don't you put it in a box? You need to stabilize and create a foundation, and let's put the idea in a box. That doesn't mean you can't think about it, but don't have the pressure of having to work on it. So what in your life do you need to put in a box and say, you know what, I don't need to decide this for a year. I'm going to put this off for the next 6 months. It's not procrastination. What happens is that you have all these decisions that are defocusing you, or all these supposed decisions, and so they're distracting you constantly. If you just take one of those major ones and say, I made the decision to stick it over here, put it in a box for 6 months, 3 months, 2 months. When I say put it in a box, it means I don't touch it. It doesn't mean I can't think about it a little bit, but I don't have to decide anything on it. And what it does is instantly, as soon as you do that, the energy comes out of your body, that negative energy comes out of your body, and you now can replace it with the creative energy, which I think you all want to do. Even the financial people have creative energy, by the way. Of course. All right, the other one is commit without hesitation. I just have learned this over being in business for 25 years. Whatever direction you're going in, what I watch entrepreneurs do, and people as well in general, they take 2 steps forward, right? Not just 1 step back. They take 2 steps forward and go, I'm scared, something's blocking me, and then I don't get forward, and they give it like a month. I'm like, okay, that's gonna take like 2 years to develop your business at a beginning, or maybe 5 years, and you gave it 3 months, and then you got scared, and then you ran away. It's kind of a problem, and it happens all the time. It's why entrepreneurs do not become entrepreneurs ultimately, or why their business idea fails before they even get started with it. So that's just another little tip here. Master and move on is one of my favorite ones. And it's kind of connected to the same thing. You want to master whatever you're doing in terms of the focus. So you say, I'm going to pick one thing, I'm going to do it really well, whatever it is. Maybe it's marketing my artwork. I'm making this completely up. I have no idea even if you do artwork, but we're going to pretend that way you do arts of some sort. So now it's artwork. And you're like, I hate selling it. I'm making this up, totally. I don't even know you. I hate selling it, but I love doing it. And unfortunately, you can't do more of it unless you sell some of it, right? So one of the things that you might have as a key initiative, I've got to master the art of figuring out how to sell this, right? I was coaching somebody a couple days ago, and she had gone to 2 distributors to sell her beauty and facial products, right? And I went, and I don't know how long she's been doing this, maybe 4, 5, 6 years. She's selling in other areas. She has some salespeople out there, but she really wanted to get a distributor. And I said, well, how many distributors have you gone to? Well, I've gone to 2, and 1 I kind of use, but they don't really do anything. I'm like, you need to go to 100, right? And maybe we'll get 5 that actually want to distribute, or even 1. All she wanted was 1 good distributor. And and why she didn't go to more, I don't know. It's master and move on. If you want to master that particular thing, which is getting a distributor, then we master it. Not going and calling up 2 distributors, literally just calling them, not doing anything else. Is not mastering it, right? So that's what I mean. So if it's marketing your artwork, again, completely made up example here, then how do we have to market it? And then what you do is you start peeling the onion. And that's what I mean by focus. We focus in, and then we start drilling down, which is, that's on another slide. Okay, I'm long on the slide. I don't know why. I'm just talking a lot today. Okay. It doesn't normally happen. Well, I always talk a lot, but usually I'm pushing through these things. I'm inspired today. I know. I'm feeling it. And also trust your gut. This idea of confidence is, and that gets back to the same idea, but you know your business better than anybody else. So people will take you off. People will tell you your idea is stupid. The reason people tell you your idea is stupid is because they don't understand your idea, because they're not coming from the same perspective. If you actually take your idea and you say, I want to write a book in a certain area, and it's on, I don't know, whatever. It might be on some topic like neuroscience or something like that. And I'm like, Well, that sounds great. Okay, I don't know anything about it. But if you actually talk to somebody that's in that target market that really wants that information, they'll be all over it. I've experienced this with my book as well. I started 7 years ago writing it, and some people, they'll ask, about your life, and over 7 years you talk to a lot of people, and every once in a while I'll bring it up. And some people are just like, yeah, that's interesting. And other people jump off the table and when can I get a copy? I don't even know you, but I want a copy because it's totally in my target market. Then you feel great, right? It's kind of that same idea, is that knowing your gut, and the reason that you get distracted is because of that as well. I also, because we're in California and I'm okay, this doesn't play as well in the East Coast, meditate regularly, okay, and keep a business journal, or a personal business journal. It's really important that you actually document and write things down. It's very good for clarity, so you need to do that if you're not already doing it. It gives you, and I write in my journal, I was on the plane writing in my journal, because I write in my journal. Oh, not every day. Usually when I'm on a plane, which is usually once a week, so that is the way that works. All right, second tool here. These are little tools now. We haven't gotten to the big tools yet, is ask great questions. And this comes from Tony Robbins. I was driving down to USC from San Francisco about 30 years ago, listening to Personal Power 1. If anybody remembers that, I'm sorry, some of you are too young. Okay, this whole side. Yeah, this side is too young. There are a couple people that might identify with me in this. I don't know that it was 30 years ago, but let's just say. And you remember Tony Robbins, though, right? Everybody knows Tony Robbins, yeah. And you know his Personal Power, the first one, which you put a cassette in. I know I'll define cassette in a moment. But you put a cassette in your tape, and then you drive down Highway 5, and I listened to it, and this was on the cassette, among many things. Successful people ask better questions. As a result, they get better answers. I think it's really important in business or your personal life that you know when to ask a question, and then you stop yourself and you actually start to unpeel and get down to the answer of it. And you have to ask good questions. So I'm going to give you some guidelines on asking good questions as well. Just something to remember. These are tools that you don't even need to refer back to these slides. So, tips on asking good questions. First of all, realize that you're stuck in your business. Now, a couple months ago, I had just started the entrepreneurNOW network, and I'm like, how do I going to build this business? So, I have to ask a really good question, like, how am I going to build this business into $1 million business in the next 18 months, right? How do I do that? That's a great question, right? You're like, $1 million? That sounds terrific. No, it's all about what we set our goals towards. As an example, and then I will start to actually drill down in that and figure it out. I'll start to, okay, I've got to do this, and I've got to speak, and I've got to go publish my book, and I've got to do this, and I've got to talk to entrepreneurs here, and I'll start to get those answers. And I can ask even more specific questions. So asking great questions, I'll tell you there's some bad questions out there as well. Focus on what you want the outcome to be. It just means that there's some outcome, there's some reason for the question. Ask open-ended questions. How, what, why, where, when. Not when so much. Well, it can be when. State the question in the positive. This is the most important thing you have to remember. I can't ask the question, I could have asked the question, why is my business failing miserably? By the way, it's not. But that's for the video. It's not. But let's say or why is my business failing and I can't get to $1 million? That's a bad question. Or why am I losing all my customers? That's a bad question too. How about saying, how do I improve my customer retention rates to X level? That's a much better question as an example. So you want to ask them always in the positive. I know it sounds like a little psycho mumbo jumbo, but it actually works, right? Because then you'll go down, that negative energy will come in, all that bad stuff comes in, and fear starts to come in, and then you'll just stop yourself. It's not good questions. Don't assume the answer, because you may not come up, you may not know the answer, but don't assume the answer, and then drill down. It's like unpeeling an onion, right? So what you do when you're asking questions is you then start to get more specific. How do I grow my YouTube channel, right? That's something that I'm working on right now. And so then I start to answer those questions. Then I say, okay, well, how do I grow viewerships and subscribers? That's a different question, right? Growing subscribers is different than growing viewers. Then it's different than just putting a bunch of videos on YouTube and seeing if anybody goes and sees them. By the way, they don't. You got to do stuff to make it actually happen, right? So as we drill down further, we get better answers, right? So be thinking about some of these techniques. Whoops, that's just me. All right, so some examples, I've already mentioned most of these, but how do I develop a thought leadership in the next 2 years? If I'm a writer, you might actually have a passion around writing. We can teach you a little bit about thought leadership as well, you might already know, but thought leadership is actually one of the things that somebody like yourself would possibly need to do in order to actually create a platform. Whole different topic, but a great idea, right? How do you become a thought leadership? How do you develop thought leadership in the next 2 years? Or how do I improve my communication among my employees? So these are just some things to think about. All right, now we're going to get to our exercises, the fun stuff. You don't really have to do anything on this, but think about them as well. But you can write down things as well. This is called the Start, Stop, Continue. Has anybody in the room done this exercise, the Start, Stop, Continue? It's done in a lot of major corporations and such, on and off. I mean, unfortunately, it should be done a lot more. The basis of the tool is, what do I want to start? What do I want to stop doing? What do I want to continue doing? Really important. You're going to get anywhere between 5 to 10 things for each one of these lists, right? And the worksheets are already in there, so you'll see them. First of all, the purpose is to get you focused on optimizing your business, or we'll say your personal life, right? This is more directed at the business, obviously. So it's designed to say, what are the things that I need to start doing that I'm not doing? And what do I need to stop because it's just a waste of time and it's in my space that I need to get out? Your attention. It's also going to make you become more efficient, because right now, you're not as efficient as you should be, or you could be. We just know because we never are. So what we do at the beginning of the year is we kind of retrench a little bit, figure out what we kind of need to be doing, what's not working, what's working going forward. If you have employees, I do recommend that you have, or stakeholders of any kind, I don't mean just employees, stakeholders of any kind. That could be your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. It could, in your personal life, it could be your business associate, your shareholder, your investor, certainly an employee, or anyone. So there's stakeholders in a business. Even if you're a business of one, you still have stakeholders. Kirby is your stakeholder here because as a principal player in where you work every day, she's going to have some input for you, right? And a great resource as well. So be thinking about that outside of just your normal, like, well, I don't have employees. That doesn't mean anything. All right. By the way, you don't have to do this exercise with anybody else, but sometimes giving it to somebody else and say, do it, they're doing it on your behalf. So they're not doing it for themselves. They're doing it for your business, or maybe what their opinions are of what you should start, stop, and continue. And then it's going to help generate new ideas. It's also going to help you evaluate what's working and what's not working. All right, so in the START exercise, the first one, what we're going to do is we're going to ask a great question, which is, what do you want to do that you're not currently doing? What do you want to start doing that you're not currently doing? Just think of one thing in your mind. You don't have to vocalize it unless you want to, of course. There's one thing. Maybe we're not marketing our artwork as effectively as we could, or maybe we're inefficient with our time, or maybe we're working on Saturdays too much, right? Or maybe we're defocused in some way, right? Whatever that is. So what do you want to start doing that you're not doing? Now, I ask you, what are the conditions for your business or your personal life right for a change, to start something? Are you able to take on a new project, a new idea, a new initiative in your personal life and or in your business life, right? Because if the conditions aren't right, maybe you shouldn't start something. It doesn't mean that you don't have to always start something. But in a business, you're always pushing forward onto the next thing, so you want to get that brainstorm down. And I do want to open up your brains enough to at least get it on paper, even if ultimately you decide not to take action on whatever you write down, that's fine. Because most likely you're going to pick one thing, not 10 things. But get the 10 things down. You'll revisit that list next year or next month or whatever. What makes the most sense to execute on as well? So as you're going through this, what is it really like? What makes the most sense to your gut? And what opportunities must I take advantage of? That's a great question, right? That I just have to. I have a burning desire that if I don't take advantage of it, I'm going to be missing out on something, and I really need that. All right. Now, 2 leading questions that I want you to also ask yourself. If money wasn't a factor, and I get money's always a factor, but take off the blinders for a moment. Yeah. Money's not a factor, where would I invest? And it could just be $10,000, $5,000, $2,000, $1,000, but take off the blinders for a moment. I don't care how much money. Just want to make sure that our brains start to brainstorm. And then the second question is, if I could hire another person, even if you don't have an employee right now, but if I could have a partner or another person, what would I have them do? What would I have them work on in my business, right? Because that will then direct you, like, that's probably the most important thing. So the takeaway here is getting a list of new ideas to move your business forward. All right, let me give you some examples here. Again, there are examples in all the download material has examples with everything you're going to get. So now this isn't my start list per se, but it generally fits different businesses, right? Focus more on e-commerce. My background is obviously in e-commerce business, so I'm like, I want to focus more on that because the current business I have now is not doing as good as it should in the world of e-commerce, let's just say. Or maybe I need to build my social media presence, right? So if you're trying to build your own, what we call platform, which is very important if you're establishing yourself as a thought leader or even elements of thought leadership. Every business needs, I believe, it needs a platform, and this starts to help because it sets you up as an expert in whatever you do. You're an expert in your small business accounting and personal accounting. You know it 100 times better than I. Wait till I get to the stop, because that's my stop thing. Stop doing my own accounting, right? No, it is. It's number 1 on the list. I hate, no offense to accounting, I hate doing my own accounting. It's very emotional for me. I mean, like I have an emotional reaction to doing accounting. And I think I need help.
It's all positive.
No, I need therapy. No, I actually need therapy around it. So I'm working on that. Become a thought leader, add a new service offering, and you might specify what that is. Build a VIP program for your most loyal customers. If you have staff, do monthly staff training, or maybe there's another program we want here at LAX Coworking, or regular planning sessions. You're going to commit to starting monthly planning sessions with yourself. By the way, that's the most important thing. All right, what do you want to stop doing? I think this is actually even more important than the starts, is the stops. What are you doing now that you absolutely need to stop doing? Now, everybody in this room right now can come up with something in their head, one thing. This list, well, basically when you get the list, you can actually serial rank it. Serial rank basically means prioritize from top to bottom. So you don't, when you're brainstorming, just list it out, but then go and say, what's number 1 and 2 and 3 on the list? And that's the things you want to focus on as well, just as a side note. What is distracting you from your core purpose? Either your personal core purpose, what you actually want to do, or your business core purpose, the core purpose of your business. So let's say that we have our small business accounting and we want to build that business, but we're so distracted by individuals, I'm making this up completely, and where the real money is in the small business guys, but the individuals are taking up more of my time. How do I then get back to my core purpose and start to transition over? That's just a business strategy. I'm not suggesting it's your business strategy. What in your company or in you is unproductive? Where are the things that are unproductive that you need to get out? What activities, processes, or behaviors are hurting your customer's experience? So again, if you're doing this on behalf of your customers, you say, well, wait a minute, I'm not hurting my customers in my business. Yeah, you might be. Most likely you are in some way. Even, let's say you're really popular and successful and everybody loves you, except it takes a month to get an appointment from you, right? And I have this in my own life right now happen. It's like, great, okay, I have to wait a month to talk to you, but you're really great when I talk to you, but it's like a month and I need you this week, right? So you might be doing great service when you're doing it and you don't realize it, but you're actually hurting your customer experience. And what do? We go off to somebody else, right? I mean, that's what happens. What things should you stop doing to make room for something else? I like that question as well. Some leading questions is, what activities should you stop doing if you had 2 hours less in a day? Just ask yourself that question. All of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I wouldn't do this, this, and this. Or what is always on the bottom of your priority list? Your to-do list. Do you all keep to-do lists? I'm fanatical at keeping to-do lists. I rewrite mine every day. There you go. You got your journal and your to-do list right there. So with that, what keeps dropping to the bottom? Because maybe it doesn't need to be there. And I'd rather you remove the clutter and focus on the stuff up here, because then you get so distracted, you're like bothered by the fact that things are on your to-do list. So the takeaway is a list of activities you must stop doing. What's on the top of mine? No more accounting. Stop doing my own accounting. That is a true statement. Useless and long meetings. If you are or running, you're part of a company that has useless and long meetings, maybe or you're running them yourself on behalf of the company, maybe you need to stop that. The blame game. Whether we're in business or personal life, we blame people. Stop that. Again, these are just examples. They're not actual things. Making it hard for customers to book an appointment with me. Late deliveries. Let's say I have an e-commerce business and my deliveries are taking 5 days and Amazon's delivering in 2. People aren't going to buy from me. Providing discounts. I watch entrepreneurs all the time. They don't charge what they should charge for their stuff. Your artwork is more valuable than you might be charging for it. A lot. This is generally speaking 80% of the time. 20% of the time, people overcharge. But I'm going to say most of us think we don't value enough of what we do or what we deliver, and we undercharge for it, right? So don't be afraid to charge the price that you should for your products or services as well. And then not getting back to customers in a timely fashion. I got to stop doing that. Okay, I don't do that, but that's something that's hurting my business. All right, and what do I want to continue? The continue is easy, but you should still do it anyway. What is working in my business? What things delight my customers? So what's working? I want to make sure I focus on that. What things that are absolutely delighting my customers, I want to keep doing. What's making me money? I gotta keep the dollars coming in, and then what must I keep doing to drive my business forward? So if I'm doing something that's starting kind of evolving, this is all going to lead up to where we get to our key initiatives, where we figure all this stuff out. All right. So. What should I continue doing? My email program's working great for me. Also offering exceptional quality products and services. I want to make sure I never compromise on quality, whatever we do. My personal touch. I call my customers every month just to check in with them. That's working really well. Shipping my products in 1 day. Investing in my sales process. Making sure that my response time is up to is 24 hours or less on anything that comes into the company. And then monthly gatherings for employees. As well. That's working, in my company. So you get an idea of that. This is a group exercise. If you bring a group together, like you have a whole group, and you want to do it all together, the start, stop, continue exercise, this will give you guidelines to do that. I'm not going to go over them. What I recommended earlier is to have somebody else do this exercise along with you. That's not really the group exercise. That's just having somebody else do it. You look at their answers and your answers, and you start to compare and see commonalities. Make sense? Do you like the Start, Stop, Continue tool? I find it's a pretty easy tool.
Yes.
And it will just do it once, right? Download it. You'll get it this afternoon. Download it and just do it once. It literally takes you 30 minutes. It's a very quick tool. It's very valuable. Now, my favorite tool, which I already gave you the lead into, is the Decision Matrix tool. I will tell you that it is challenging for entrepreneurs and for humans in general to, and entrepreneurs are also humans, so we have to remember that, to make decisions. So this tool I've used since I got out of USC, and I've used over and over again, both in my personal life and my professional life as well, all right? So solves one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs or humans, which is you can't make decisions. And this is what stops us from making money and stops us from growing our business and stops us from growing our careers, because we're caught in this limbo state, and that's also called being stuck. Being stuck is a phenomenon, as I mentioned earlier, of fear. So the root core of being stuck is that you're fearful of something. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of being made to look ridiculous, whatever it might be. And anytime we do something new, perhaps market our artwork, again, totally made up, is something I haven't done. I'm out of my comfort zone. As soon as I'm out of my comfort zone, my fear goes up, and I need to deal with that fear in order to do that. That's a different seminar. You'll have to have me back for dealing with fear.
I wrote that down.
There you go. All right. See, I got to do the close. There you go. There you go. See, we're perfect. All right, this is good. So this can be used for any type of decision, personal, professional, and it can be used for yes, no decisions or go, no go decisions. Should I do this or this? Just yes, do this, or no, do this, right? In addition, it can also be used, and this is its main use, is a list of actions. It actually works almost even better when you have a list of alternatives or things. We're going to go through this exercise step by step in just a moment. So, in your personal life, you could use it as, should I get a divorce or not? Don't ask me why. I think that would not be a very good use for it, but you can use it for it, right? And in your professional life, of course, you can use it on literally anything. It's a logical, mathematical approach to deciding something. It doesn't take all the emotions out, but it takes a lot of the emotions out. You will get a score at the end of this for the decision, the number one choice in your decision, and you'll get a rank, which is really cool, is it actually prioritizes amongst all the lists that you have in a serial rank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to help you when you're actually evaluating. We'll get to that in just a moment. All right. So, and like I said, it takes most of the emotions out, which I think is good. All right, we're going to go through 6 steps. Follow along with me, even though for some of you, we have a lot of financial people in the room, so that's good. Math is not a problem. You won't actually have to physically do the math, but we are using numbers here, but don't get scared away. It is in a spreadsheet, but it's very, very easy to use. All right, first thing I want to do is I actually want to state the decision that I'm trying to make. I want to state it as in the form of a question. That's very important that you do. Now, in order to come up with this decision that you're trying to make, first of all, you probably have a ton of them. Be thinking of one in your mind right now. Think of one in your mind right now that you want to make. You can go back to the Start, Stop, and Continue for inspiration. If you need inspiration, look at the start list because that will start to drive that. So let's go over to our spreadsheet here, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at our spreadsheet. Now, what you're going to see on this is you're going to have a set of instructions that are the same as what's in the slide, pretty much. You'll have an input. I won't go to it because I can't see it on the screen, and my mouse won't work there. And you'll get a result. That's where you'll actually do your stuff. Then you have an example of what I call my fantasy chocolate business. I've always wanted to start a chocolate business. I don't know why I haven't. I still haven't done it yet. I'm stuck. Obviously, I have some fear of chocolate, I guess. I don't know what it is. No, I've been busy running my other tech businesses. So, yes. But eventually, that chocolate business is going to come to life. And it's a fancy chocolate business. It's got these beautiful, gem-like, gorgeous chocolates that everybody just looks at and they go, oh my God, these are the best. They just look amazing. I have it all in my head. I've seen it. I've modeled it because there are a couple companies out there that I love that I just want to take and do it better. By the way, when you're coming up with a new idea, just a side note, is the best thing to do first is go out and find somebody else that's doing kind of what you sort of want to do. It's okay. Competition is good. You want to embrace your competition. Very important. And then you model them to a point where then, and you do this with people too. So if you're trying to achieve something in your personal life, modeling them is really, really good because it gets you going. It's still you at the end of the day, or your business, or as a writer, it's you as the writer. I wrote a book on personal development. There's about a billion books on personal development. But why is mine different than everybody else's? Because I wrote it. And I will come, right, but I'll come with you to, there are a certain set of people that will identify the male perspective of a very logical how to 5 easy steps, boom, 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 to living an extraordinary life. And actually, you have exercises to actually lead you through the whole thing. So it's a little different than just the theory of personal development. So that's my take on it, right? There's probably still 1,000 books written like that, But I wrote it with my examples and my background. That makes it me. And speaking to I'm not a very good writer, but you're a good writer. And speaking to a writer, that's the first advice you get when you're writing a book, right? That applies to all your business ideas, right? I just want to make sure. There are a lot of accountants out there, but you're special because it's you delivering at your commitment level, your service levels, how you're focused on you are. And just your personality dealing with your customers then spreads the word about other customers, period. And you're in a geographical area. It also makes you unique as well. So there are a lot of things that make you unique as you either think about starting your business, like your app business that I've now suggested that you should do. I don't even know you, but you're going to generate a great app. For whatever. All right, so what's the question here? What should I do with a $100,000 investment in my business? So my fantasy chocolate business has been going for about 8 to 10 years, because it's still fantasy, and it's been doing pretty well, and I have an extra $100,000 that's sitting in the bank that I'm ready to invest in the business. I'm going to select amongst a set of things that I could invest in. That's the model here. So we're just going to flip back. And we'll take a look at step 2. So we got the question now. Step 2 is determine the list of possible actions or alternatives that you're considering, right? So here what we're going to say is, should I take action X, Y, Z, A, B, C? What actions should you actually take, or alternatives that you have within this decision? That's all you're trying to do. Or it could be yes, no as well. It could just be yes, do, or don't do. Whatever you'd like. All right, in my fantasy chocolate business, I could either open a new store. I've already opened 8 stores. I'm going to open my 9th store. I can improve my menu. What's that?
One per year.
Yeah, it's all connected. My fantasy is whatever I make up in the speech in the second. That's called impromptu, which we were talking about earlier, right? Next speech, it could be 10. I don't know. So now, improve my manufacturing process because it's not very good. I need a new e-commerce website because the one I built stinks. Hire a sales manager so they can go out and sell to the corporations and the gifting business. Add a new line of chocolate candies. That sounds interesting. And invest in branding and thought leadership because I haven't done enough of that, social media, all that stuff in years. So I need to do that. All right, that's step 2. Super easy. You're all going to use this. Okay. Step 3 is I'm going to determine, this is the key step. The critical step is, this is what makes it the multi-attribute decision matrix, which is you're going to decide or define your decision-making criteria. What is the criteria for which you use to make the decision about that question that you asked, right? So, what is the most important attributes in making the decision? So in my business, it might be a lot of revenue, or it might be low risk. I'll give you a whole bunch in just a second. It could be anything because this could be in your personal life as well. You will come up with those attributes. Now you're going to be able to weight these attributes as well. So they don't all have to have the same weighting. In fact, they shouldn't all have the same weighting, but you still want to get them out. You pretty much want anywhere between, I'm going to say 4 and 7 or 4 and 8 attributes, maximum like 7 or 8. Otherwise you get too many. And if you have 1 or 2, it's not enough, right? So just kind of keep that in mind as well. That's not in here in the notes, but you'll remember that. They'll come out naturally and you'll see it in the example as well. Ask yourself, what are you trying to achieve with the decision? Boom, it will tell. If you ask yourself that question, the attributes will start popping in. So don't worry about not coming up with attributes. This is the only tricky one right here, okay? Which is, make sure that you state it in its relative value. Meaning everything either has to point in the positive direction for the math to work or the negative direction. I suggest the positive. Meaning high revenue and low risk are 2 positive outcomes. So they both point in the same direction. So it doesn't have to all be high or low or strong or weak. So I always just put a modifier with all my attributes that say either high or low, big or small, strong or weak, I don't have that one on here, or large or small. Something like that that then says everything's pointing in the right direction. Your brain will kick in, because as soon as you try to do the math, you're like, but that's a negative. That's actually, so you don't want to say high risk and high revenue are going in opposite directions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so that's the only trick in this entire exercise. All right, let me give you some decision criteria. These are more business world oriented, but high revenue, right? So one of my decision-making criteria for my chocolate business is, whatever I do, I want to make sure I have high revenue potential. You're like, well, duh, it goes without saying. But if you don't put it in the matrix, then it won't be considered. Strong, I should have the word strong there. Strong alignment with my current business. I want it to be aligned with what I'm doing now. I don't want to do something that's kind of out there, because there are some things on the list that are kind of out there a little bit. Strong with my core skill sets or my core competency, right? I want it to be in alignment with what I know already. Low risk. I want to do low investment or low cost as well. Quick time to revenue. Quick time to revenue is a great one. I always love this one because the idea that I'm evaluating my business, if I can get a return on investment more quickly or quick time to that it generates revenue, the better it is, right? Especially in an entrepreneurial business, so I love that one. Increases company value, so when I go to sell the business, the company value is going to be higher because I'm doing this. Now, all those lists of alternatives, some will contribute more company value than others. So if that ranks high in my list, then the scores are going to be higher. Do you see how this thing works now? A little bit? All right, and then a couple other ones here. Impact people's lives, very important. Low complexity might be important. Social value, impact positive on the culture, just having more fun. Maybe increase customer retention or increase customer satisfaction in the business as well. All right, so step 4 now. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to show you the attributes here. Oops. All right, so step back to step 3. These are my attributes. Remember, I've got my decisions now. I've got my decision, and I have my list of alternatives, right? So now these are the things that are important to me. High revenue potential, quick time to return on investment, improve customer satisfaction is important, strong ability to execute. I want to make sure I can execute this. Improve my gross margins. If you don't know gross margins, ask. We got experts in the room. But a gross margin is a measurement of efficiency, and it's like a very, very important stat that most entrepreneurs don't know. Sorry, they don't. Is this true or not?
Yes.
How many times have you had to define gross margin for somebody? Like a billion?
Many.
Yeah, exactly. And it's yet the most important thing that you can know about your business. It also will tell you how much your business is actually worth, because higher gross margins, even if you have low profit in the tech business, our app developer here, in MarketLive, I didn't make money. We made a lot of revenue, but we weren't profitable up until the time I sold the business.
Wow.
Well, I know, because what we did was I was venture backed, so the model was take all the money that you make or you could make, shove it right back into the business. We don't want you to make anything, because then you have to pay taxes, right? Mm-hmm. So you just keep growing, and then once you have a valuation up here, and because we had high gross margins, they put an X in front of it, and they put a variable in front of it that says how much times your revenue are we going to buy you for, right? Or maybe in some companies 10x of revenue, of their actual revenue. Okay, that's a good thing, right? So my job was to increase revenue as fast as I could, not to make money, right? I know that sounds a little strange, but that's how the tech world works. That was the model. Gross margins, and making gross margins is a key indicator of that. So anyway, that was a long explanation. I didn't mean to give that. Okay, sorry, we'll edit the video. Amy will edit that out of the video. Okay, can we? Okay, all right. Amy's the executive producer who is very interested in the video, because she's going to post it and give you guys credit for that as well. All right, so the next step that we are in, since I'm on the long play here, but I'm going to finish on time, believe it or not, is we're going to assign a weight. This is where we take the attributes and we assign a weight to each one of the attributes on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being most important. All right. So let's go and take a look at an example here. So in this case, we have 10. High revenue potential gets a 10 because it's really important to me to have high revenue potential. I don't want to do something that isn't going to generate a lot of revenue. Quick return on investment. You know, in this decision, that $100,000, I don't have to have a quick return on investment. It's not that important to me. I'm more about the long term. Improve customer satisfaction. I always want to improve my customer satisfaction. I rated that an 8, so it's going to be a weighting. Because every criterion is not weighted equally, right? They can be, but then the exercise loses a little bit, right? And by the way, nothing in life is weighted equally anyway, right? You're going to come up with these criteria, and some things are going to be a little less important, but you still want to make sure you consider them. Some things are going to be super important. Ability to execute, very important to me, because if I'm going to invest $100,000, I want to make sure I can execute on it. Gross margins, I'm in it for the long term, so gross margins aren't as important for me. In other decisions, gross margins might be wildly important, right? Increase the company value, pretty important. I should have actually rated that higher because I'm in it for the long term. And low risk, I rated risk about a 6. Which means that, you know, I want it low risk, but I'm willing to take on a little bit of risk because it only was a 6, right? All right, next part of the exercise, super easy, we're almost done here, is score the action or alternative criterion based on the individual options. So I've got my list of actions or options that I could take, and I'm going to score each one to the and this doesn't take very long at all, each one to the individual criterion. Okay, so let's just go through one line real quick. Opening my new store. High revenue potential of opening a new store? Yeah, actually it is, because when you open up a new store, you get you can generate a lot of revenue. Meaning it costs a lot of money, but when you get a lot of foot traffic coming in. That's why a lot of stores are still very popular. Not necessarily in retail. Sorry, you're in a business you might want to think about, by the way, because retail's having a bit of a problem, so they don't need as many POS systems anymore. You're fine now, right? Just might want to. Who does career counseling? No, okay, no, I'm not kidding, really, but because I know the business and it's not doing so well. But you know that too. We still got to fix this stuff, right? So you got a business for a while. All right, return on investment. Return on investment. I know I'm not going to get invited back, so see, I can give this impromptu thing. So, you know, it's like when I get kicked out, I really want to get kicked out well. All right, so quick return on investment. Not so important. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm doing my new store. So, high revenue potential, yes, store does. A quick return on investment, not so good, so I rated it a 3. Improve customer satisfaction, absolutely, because if I open the store in downtown LA and I'm San Francisco based, I'm satisfying my LA customers, good. Or maybe Beverly Hills with my chocolate business, good place to start a nice fancy $100 a box chocolate. No, it's not gonna be $100 a box. That's a dream. And then ability to execute, I gotta be able to execute this. This is really important to me. My gross margins, I don't care so much about, I'm sorry. On my new store, I'm not going to generate gross margins. Gross margins are going to get hurt when I open a new store because it costs a lot of money to start the store, and then it starts 3-4 years after you start to get that. So we got a very low rating. Good thing is that was low as well. Increased company value, thumbs up on that. The more stores I have, the higher value because the more revenue I have, which helps my valuation. And low risk, I rated a 2 as well on that as well. So you start to rate everything, and then we get to the last part of this is to analyze the results. So what we're going to do is we're going to say which alternative got the highest score. By the way, the highest score may not be the right score, not maybe the right decision as well. So what I want to make sure is the highest score is aligned with my gut. Like, does it make sense? Is that the one I thought? And is that the one that really made sense to me, right? I want to also look at the second and third ranking scores as well, or options as well, to say, yeah, maybe that second one resonates more than the first one as well. And then what insights can I draw from the ranking? Meaning, the ones that are ranked really low, can I just take them off the list because they're just not going to get the result? All right, ready for the results? Okay, I've got to move my cursor here. There we go. Kind of, it's like really weird. Okay, there we go. Oops, and then we'll cursor down a little bit. So, sorry, this is not lining up. Let's do a little. Is that going to take it down? Nope. Okay. I'll go over here just so you can see the whole thing.
If you do Control minus, it'll.
I did.
Oh, there you go.
I did. Brought up that weird box.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. Normally in Control minus we'll do that, but. All right, so a couple things here. So first of all, the highest score that we have over here is 413, and that's to open up or to add a new e-commerce site, meaning rebuild a new e-commerce site, because it's got a huge revenue potential because I'm affecting the entire US or maybe the entire world. So that made more sense across all variables. It's lower risk, higher reward, so on and so forth. And I wouldn't have come up with that. I would have thought the open store would have been the one that I would have wanted. And the second one, which also surprised me, is add a new line of chocolate candies. What comes off the list is investing in branding. As you can see, the score is really low here. I'm just going to take it off the list. I'm not going to consider that. I'm not even going to think about it. And this open a new store thing didn't rank as high as I thought. So, you know what? I'm not thinking that. Maybe that's not a good decision. Hire a sales manager. It's going to cost me a bunch of money and not generate anything useless. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm sure they're going to be fine. But I'm going to do a new e-commerce site. So from this decision matrix, I have just now gotten either confirmation on what I already thought, or I have a direction now that kind of I'm going to start to investigate. So that's all this tool is used for, right? Do you see the decision matrix? Do you like the decision matrix?
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little confusing when I'm presenting it because I'm all over the place and a little wacky, but when you actually sit down to do it, it'll be super easy to do. And there's a set of instructions there to do that. I will say that of all the tools that after I give this presentation, this is the one that people use the most. Okay, now let's go to the one that nobody uses. All right, I'm kidding. Is the key initiative. I'm kidding, it's a great tool. The last tool, as we wrap up here, is the ultimate planning tool called Key Initiatives. This is now, what we've done is we've gotten some clarity because we did a big brainstorming session, so we've gotten these things, our minds now floating around. We made some decisions on what we think we want to go do. Now we're going to take those decisions and anything else that we want to add, we're going to create key initiatives, okay? Key initiatives are what going to drive you for 2019 and beyond, right? They're 1-year initiatives. And essentially a key initiative is nothing more in the self-help world than an intention. An intention, what we put out there, we say we're going to do. And I can tell you that the last 2 years of running my business, I only ran the business using this tool. I didn't do anything else. I ran the board this way, I ran the employees this way, I ran the executive team this way, and I gotta tell you, it dramatically increased the value of the company over a 2-year period of time. I'm gonna say more than doubled or tripled the value of the company by using this tool. Because I got the entire company to focus, which it wasn't focused before. I got the entire company to focus on 5 key initiatives, which is the maximum you can have is 5 key initiatives. And it got everybody singing out of the same hymn book, as my father used to say, or rowing in the same direction, if you will. That's the other version of that. All right, so my dad was Irish Catholic, so I guess we got the hymn book thing. Okay, that's where it comes from. Okay, all right. First of all, the key initiatives are designed to do 12 months, not 24 or 36. It's a short-term planning tool. It focuses you and your team what really matters as well. And this is what you're going to take action on, and you're not going to take action on anything else. Usually this is around growing your business or growing yourself. You're going to do all the other stuff you normally do. You're going to take care of your small business customers and your individual customers on the accounting side. You've got to do that to make money. But in addition, you're going to say, I'm going to do, and you've got to do your artwork, right? But I'm going to do a couple of things that are going to change the trajectory this year and all of a sudden put me on this. You build a business one day at a time. I started my e-commerce business with one server in 1995, but the server was probably 1997 when I had enough business to actually buy a server. And the business, when it sold, probably had the equivalent of 5,000 servers over at AWS in terms of power. We didn't actually have 5,000 servers, but power, computing power. So and we had no commerce transactions to $2 billion a year in commerce transactions. And it built year after year after year. It didn't all of a sudden happen. Keep that in mind as well. This sets you on the trajectory to get things going. And next year, all of a sudden you look at where you are and you go, holy crap, look at all that I did this year, right? I accomplished all this stuff and now I take that as my base and I build more and more and more. I call it building assets. So whatever you're doing, you're building, this is about building assets. Assets are things that can either be resold or you can build within yourself, right? That they then build up on top of themselves. Does that make sense? Typically, assets either add personal value to yourself, your personal assets, right? You've whatever it might be. You've made more money in your personal life. You've achieved a certain goal. I won't get into the personal stuff. Or the business world. Like I built a YouTube. I'll give you a quick example. We put up a YouTube channel 3 months ago. I've got hours and hours and hours of video. So we took pieces of those videos and we started putting up YouTube. We right now in literally 2 or 3 months, and we haven't done nothing. Like we've done. I'm horrible at like marketing. I'm horrible at marketing. Kind of. I feel kind of horrible at marketing. I need that as a key initiative. Amy's gonna like cringe. She's like, "What is this?" No, no, I'm kidding. And we have right now, my goal was this year, and I haven't really even started working on it, 4,000 hours of viewable time on YouTube, which is actually for my little channel, my little itty bitty channel. And I think I've bought a couple $100 in advertising, like literally a couple $100. I have about 700 hours of viewed hours of time, and I'm 2 or 3 months into this, which means I'm probably going to get to my 4,000 hours of goal. And when I started the channel, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to get to 4,000 hours of viewing. By the way, why is it 4,000 hours? YouTube has a new policy that when you're at 4,000 hours, you get all these extra benefits as like a business where you can have things pop in and pop up and pop down, but you have to be a YouTube partner. You can also start making money from your videos at 4,000 hours. If you're under 4,000 hours, you're like everybody else. Like my godson who puts up his videos of him playing a video game, which, by the way, he has more subscribers and more views than I have. Okay, I don't understand that. He also has more Instagram views, and he puts up sorry, Christian. He puts up the stupidest like questions. I'm like, how do you have so many people that are like? Anyway, I don't get it. I got to learn from him. Learn from the 11-year-old. Yeah. No, it's totally true, isn't it? It's like he also watches YouTube like 8 hours a day, obsessed because you watch other people play video games. That's all they do.
It's $1 million market.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy, people. No, and it's weird. It's like he can't put down the iPad because he's watching other people play the video games. So he can learn, so he can be better at Fortnite. Okay, great. Sorry. All right, we're back on track here with rallies. So what this other does is this tool also rallies around your stakeholders. Your stakeholders can be your investors, your advisors, your partners, your vendors, your customers. They all start to rally around the same goal. I used to take my key initiatives to my partners and my board, and I'm like, if the board, and I had a very powerful board. I had Sequoia Cap, I had 5 or 6 of the top venture firms in the Silicon Valley on my board. And what I had to tell them was, guys, we're gonna focus on these 5 key initiatives. If you ask me about anything else, I'm not gonna talk to you, right? That was the last 2 years. No, seriously. And you're like, well, how can you say that to them? Because we're all about making money and we're all about doing these initiatives, and you distract me from doing these initiatives. So I want you to have the same commitment. I'll get you a return if you leave me alone and let me do these 5 key initiatives. And we did the 5 key initiatives, and it worked. Okay, so that's why I believe in these so much. It guides your daily and weekly and monthly decision-making process because it will help you edit out what you should not be doing because you're doing a lot of things you shouldn't be doing. So if you stick to these, you're in good shape. What it's going to do is going to provide you with the what, the objective, and the how, the action. Right? So the what is my objective? What do I want to do? Right? The theme, the intention, if you will, for the self-helpers in the room. And how am I going to get it done? The action. This might sound like goal setting, but it's actually not goal setting. This is very tangible, initiative-driven thing. So what you have is you have a primary initiative and you have an action. Sub-initiative, don't worry too much about. I will go over it. So a primary initiative basically is a theme, a direction, or an actual objective, right? No more than 5 are allowed. You cannot have more than 5 large initiatives. They can be as large as you want, but you can only have 5, or very small. They can be specific, or they can be somewhat general. I do allow here them to be general, like thematic, like an intention, like I want to improve my customer satisfaction. So what are you going to do is the question. It's the what. What are you going to do? The sub-initiative just groups, if you have large initiatives, it groups up the initiatives into sub-initiatives, because an actual action, oops, not sure why that dimmed, but
it just does that.
it's like you're off stage. It's probably telling me you're over time, but I'm like 2 more minutes. Okay, is this okay? You guys okay?
Yes.
You guys good? I mean, we're good. Okay, you're liking this so far?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, you're okay. You're good.
I'm fine.
He's good. Okay, I just want to make sure because he's going to be out of work in like 6 months, so we got to get him a job. I'm kidding. I'm joking. We shouldn't say that. All right. So the that's the app developer, by the way. Okay, for those of you that are on camera. So the action. The action must be specific. It must be measurable. The actions are where the rubber hits the road. This is what's going to drive you to do what you need to do. It's actually very, very simple. So this is the how. If you do this without this, it doesn't work. And in fact, you won't get anywhere this year. This is where it all happens. And I'll show you the example in just a moment. For businesses, I've broken it down into 6 different categories. I'll go through them very quickly because I know some of you are going to use this in your personal life. Sales and marketing could be a category, or they're buckets of things to think about. Customers, products and services, operational efficiency, culture, and financial. I'll go through a couple of initiatives just so you're used to hearing what initiatives. I want to grow sales by 15%. That's an initiative. It can have a number associated, or you can just say grow sales. Anytime I do sales oriented, I want to say what I'm going to actually grow to. So I'm going to take my accounting business from X to Y in 2019. How I'm going to do it, I've got to list exactly how I'm going to do it. And if it's not measurable, and it doesn't have a date and some measurement associated with it, it doesn't mean anything. You might as well just throw it away, because you can't hold yourself accountable to something that is not measurable. Period. It sounds like goal setting. It's kind of goal setting, but it's a little bit more than goal setting. This is a rigor. Okay. Create a thought leadership program. Doesn't really have a measurement to it because it's still an initiative. I want to create a thought leadership program. That's good. Okay. I've set my intention out there that I want to do it, and I'm going to say how I'm going to do that in just a moment. All right. Increase my market awareness or distribution partners on the customer side. Improve customer satisfaction. I could even get down to what's called an NPS score, which is a measurement of customer satisfaction used by everybody in the world. By the way, you all have done NPS scores, Net Promoter Scores, because if you ever get the survey that says on a scale of 1 to 10 rate, that's what an NPS is. Those companies take that back, they apply it to this model. So that's a very easy way of measuring. You don't have to do it, but it's a very easy way of measuring customer satisfaction. Adding a service or product, improving my product line or what have you. Operational efficiency, those gross margins come back again. Increase my gross margins by 20%. Increase my gross margins from 50 to 58%. Improve X process, that's okay as well. Improve my delivery times to 99%, or maybe my error rates, take it down to 2%. Culture and personal. I always like to have something, even if I'm in a business, on either my personal or cultural. Cultural is the culture of the company. I always like to have one of these. Improve team morale, add a senior leadership team, or maybe a board of advisors. And then the financials. I want a profit margin of this. I might want to go out and get funding. Those are key initiatives. Because let's say you want to go out and raise $1 million of funding in your great new app idea, right? That's easy in the tech world. That's just, you just blink and it's there. You don't even have to ask really for it. Anyway, so what you do, there's a whole list of things that you're going to have to do. Boom, I need a business plan. I need an investor presentation. I need to go and research this, all the way down. That's where you're going to actually execute it if you do that, versus just say, oh, I don't want to raise $1 million. Okay, great. At the end of the year, you will not do that. All right, quick game here real quick. It's not really a game. What we're going to do is we're going to figure out whether this is a key initiative or action. This is where everybody, and I mean everybody, like everybody in corporate America, messes this exercise up because they don't know the difference between an action and an initiative. But you guys do, because you've gone and sat through this lunch and learn. But there's no lunch in the learn, but there's just a lot to learn. Okay, sorry. All right. So remember, the action is an action is well-formed. A well-formed action has some specificity to it. A date, a measurement, something that can drive me and says specifically what I'm going to do. My question here is this an initiative or an action? Hire a sales manager by March 15th. Action or initiative?
Action.
You guys are already so good. All right, renegotiate distribution contracts with key vendors to drive my costs down by 10% before May 31st. You already knew that before I even got it all out. Improve my sales processes.
Initiative.
Bingo, you guys are so good. We're only down to a couple more here. Create a sales distribution channel for my products. Initiative, good. And the last one here, create a board of advisors of 4 by December 31st.
Action.
Good. I'm just going to blow these rest ones here. Broadcast one webinar per quarter.
Action.
Good, that gets people sometimes, right? So you guys got this down. Build my YouTube presence. Because I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, right? All right, now I'm going to just give you one example. You've got 2 big examples in the deck that you're going to get with this. but I'll just do one slide of one example because I'm already over time. So 5 key initiatives. This is for my fantasy chocolate business. My 5 top initiatives are: I want to grow sales to 8 million. There's that 8 again. There's actually something about the 8. It's infinity for you self-helpers. I didn't do that on purpose, but because you brought it up, I'm saying it. What's that?
Subconscious.
Subconscious. I'm putting that energy out there. All right. I don't know what's happened when I came to LA. Everything's like all zen here. I don't know. And I'm from San Francisco. We're kind of whack jobs. Sorry. Edits. We're kind of whack jobs there. All right. Improve customer retention. Improve gross margin from 63 to 68%. Expand my product line and enhance my team collaboration. Again, they're either thematic or they can have some specificity to them. I'm just going to show you the one. If I want to grow to 8 million in sales, how am I going to do it? Or if I want to take my sales, let's say you're doing $500,000 in sales, I don't know how much you're doing, and you want to go from $500,000 to 600,000. Okay, I want to know everything that you need to do in order to do that, right? I want to blow that out. So my chocolate business, I'm going to actually add a new line of chocolates, contributing $500,000 in revenue. I'm going to open up 2 store locations. Ignore the decision matrix. This is a new exercise. And then I've got a sub-initiative here, which I didn't talk too much about. It's just a grouping again. I do want to increase my online sales to 2 million by the end of the year. And what I'm going to do that is I'm going to hire a sales manager by April, and I'm going to go ahead and increase my media spend to $10,000. I'm probably going to do a couple more things, but for example purposes. And I'm going to increase my social following, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I give the numbers there, but that's still a sub-initiative because I want to say how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to generate 2 new thought leadership pieces a month, like recipes and chocolate making and things like that. I'm going to hire a social media consultant by end of Q1 so they can drive that, and that will really help. And I'm going to increase my post frequency to 3 times per week. So that I can drive that as well. Okay. The rest of the examples are in here. I won't bore you with all of them, but everyone is then supported by what I actually do. I'm sure you got the point of this. I'll take any questions now. Hold it. I'm not going to take any questions. I will take questions. I'll take your question and then I'll do final.
I just have to run to a 1:30.
Oh my God. Okay, you have to go. You're leaving. Absolutely. No, that's
I wanted
okay.
to ask before I left. So you're probably doing like 1 or 2 of these lunch and learns a week. Where's the best place to go to get those hours booked? At least what works best for you.
So in terms of doing lunch and learns and things like that. So
yeah, like
depends on
getting this gig.
Exactly. We talked to Kirby. I know Kirby is this. There are a lot of opportunities as you develop yourself as a thought leader. And that does help as well. So in the e-commerce space, I actually it took me 20 years to develop myself as a thought leader. I wrote thousands of articles. I was published and spoke everywhere for 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. So it got to a point where I never had to ask for big speaking engagements with thousands of people, right? They would call me. That's good. And then eventually get paid for them as well.
How about what, like little ones?
Correct. That's what I'm going to go to. So, but the point is I had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So you do have to establish a little bit of your thought leadership. Whatever you're going to be speaking about, you need to kind of either do a podcast, do a little bit of YouTube stuff, get yourself out there a little bit. That's not a requirement to speaking. It goes in conjunction with speaking. Because what you want to do, if you want to speak, you want to do the rest of it as well, right? I don't want you to forget that. So in terms of this case, if you want to do co-working spaces, they happen to be a vehicle for being able to present to groups of folks like this. It's a lot of work because you got to go to a lot of them, and you get fairly small groups. Although this is a nice group, you're not small, but it depends on what size and scope you're looking for and what to do. There's also a lot of community events. There's also you can put on things, advertise, do meetups. There are meetups everywhere. If you're not subscribing to them, in the social world, you can find where people are gathering, and then you volunteer yourself. All of this, almost all the speaking I've ever done has been for free because it's promoting something I'm doing in my life. Like next steps. 5 seconds on next steps, real quick. I know you have to go. You're not even going to listen to my next step. That's okay. We'll email you.
Co-working spaces, chambers of commerce.
There you go. Yeah, bingo. Chamber of Commerce is a great one since you actually represent the Chamber of Commerce.
Go to like other Chamber of Commerces too and reach out to them, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of other business groups as well. Google them. You will find that if you have something to say that's valuable and you can present it in such a not like I did, like an uncohesive way, but a very cohesive way, and you can deliver value, people will have you back. Again, don't use me as a model, because Kirby's not going to invite me back. But and always put your promotion at the very end, which I'm going to do here. 5 seconds. You're welcome to go now. You don't need to listen to the
No
promotion.
worries. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to the email.
Absolutely, you betcha. So, real quick, there's a ton of actually free information as well on the entrepreneurNOW network. So everything on business planning, anything that you might need could be on there. That's our network. It's kind of like our e-learning network, if you will. Lots of great stuff there you might want to check out if you're starting a business. Really good stuff because there's financial plans and templates and all this other stuff. Some of that costs money, of course, because we are in it to make money. But if you need help with any of these these things, business planning, financial modeling, raising capital, sales strategies, marketing strategies, any of that, customer acquisition, leadership, you have all of that. Again, your downloads are going to be at entrepreneurnow.com/success2019. You also can share this with a friend because we have pre-recorded this has also been pre-recorded as well, and you can share this URL/planning, and they can watch the on-demand version. We actually just started, our last one was yesterday or the day before, of doing it live, because this series is the last in the series. We're done. Actually, I think I do one on Monday, and then that's it. And then we're going to put it to bed till next year. And then also, I do offer a free hour of coaching with me, and it's if you do have a business or your business needs coaching. It's not personal coaching, sorry, because I don't do that. But anything in terms of taking your business idea to the next level, or you're already in business and you're stuck on something. I've been doing a lot of this lately, and in 60 minutes, I'm pretty good about getting somebody unstuck from where they're stuck. Okay. Good. That is it. If you have any questions, you can, of course, email me at ken@entrepreneurnow.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll cut.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ken Burke. I'm from the Entrepreneur Now Network, and I want to thank you all for coming today. And if you want to learn more information about the Entrepreneur Network, just go to www.entrepreneurnow.com. Thank you so much for joining us.